everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today I'm taking a look at 6 games that I like. I play them, I enjoy them, I think you should too. In fact, all of them, just as a heads up, are ranked 7 out of 10, except one is a 7.5, slightly better than the rest. So I'm going to take a look at these, and let's go backwards and start from the biggest and go to the smallest. Hamster Roll is a dexterity game from Zoc that's been out for over 20 years, I think, at this point in time. And 25th Century is now bringing it to America. And this game is essentially just a big wheel that rolls on your table. Let me show you. So we have a wheel here that's going to be placed in the middle of the table. And you're going to put this cone piece on the middle section down here. Each player is going to have these 7 pieces in front of them. And what you're going to do on your turn is you have to place a piece higher than any other piece. So I could place it like this, for example. That obviously is going to move the wheel. Not really move the wheel. So the next person might place a red one here. We're safe. Next person a yellow there. Next person a green here. And someone puts a purple there. Someone else puts a yellow here. Oh, no pieces have fallen yet. Next person puts a red here. Then a blue. Nice. Purple decides up the ante because you always have to go higher. So the next person might have to go up here. And this isn't so bad. Nothing has fallen yet. It is a good day. Has to be higher. That piece doesn't count. And we just keep stacking them higher and higher. This is, if any pieces fall off on your turn, you take them and put them in front of you. And you can always just slide the wheel back like this to keep it from falling off the table. But you might want to, if any pieces fall off on your turn, you get them. And once you have the black piece, you can set this down as a piece that you use too. So that just knocked off this purple piece here. So maybe the next person places the yellow here. And they just got a whole pile of pieces in front of them. Your goal is to get rid of all your pieces. That's how you win. This is a gimmick, this wheel. But you know what? It works. For me, in that demonstration, that's some of the most I've ever seen without the thing falling. But it's really funny to see how high up there they can get. And it's such a neat idea that you can just slowly pull the wheel backwards on the table because the wheel's rolling and the stuff doesn't fall out. This is just an entertaining, quick game. It's the kind of game you can set up on a table. Kids enjoy it. You can, play it safe by putting your blocks all next to each other. But after a while, someone's going to go, I don't want to play it safe anymore. I'm going to put these blocks so it takes up a whole section so the next person has to go. And that's it. It's a simple, fast little game that takes some interesting objects and puts them in a wheel and knocks them over. So 7 out of 10, I like Hamster Roll. Diluvium is a little game in which in the ancient past, when our civilization, I don't know. Let me read you this. It's an epic game of exploration, conquest, and resource management. Also 15 minutes per player. In fact, it might even be faster than that. This is a civilization-style game that plays quickly. Take a look. At the beginning of the game, you'll place a couple tiles out on the board, but each player will have their own starting tile. And on that tile, they're going to put a warship, they're going to put their explorer ship, and they have one settler on one of the spots here. There's going to be other tiles that are placed face down around the board randomly from a big pile of tiles. They're all not used in every game that show 1 or 2 food on them. Now, the game revolves around this wheel here. On a player's turn, they're going to pick an action. So I could pick the top action, for example, and then I just spin this wheel around. It's easier if you use 2 hands here. You just spin it around to pick a different action. You can't pick the same action 2 turns in a row. And that's all this arrow is here to help you. So what do the different actions do? This one here lets you move your explorer ship on the board. When you move your explorer ship, you can move it 2 spaces, although you can pay food to move it more. When you stop in an area you're going to explore, you'll take one of your cubes off your board and put it in these spots, getting your reward. Money is always pretty handy because money is how you win the game, whoever has the most at the end. Although putting a tent there allows me to drop one of my people on the board there where I can get more resources. As you explore more and more islands, you will get more and more money Once you explore all of them, you can see the last one gives you 5 coins. If you want to explore one of these face down ones, you simply need to pay the food that's on the back of it. So let's say I pay 2 to go here, and you can see these islands have a lot of different things. When you settle on an island, it's either going to give you a sword resource, a ring resource, a food resource, or it's going to give you a card. And there's a bunch of cards that will give you various actions. This action lets you settle with 2 of your people. So you'll take 2 of your folks off the board here, and you're going to do this for 2 reasons. You're going to put them on the board in those different spots that will give you resources. But when you take all 3 off of one of these spots, whenever you take that action, you get a benefit. For example, the settle action itself, I get a resource of my choice when all 3 of these are off the board. This one here is going to let me produce resources, that's this action here, where each of my people are. So depending on where they are, they're going to produce resources of the type that they're at. You pick one spot on the board, and these do not produce cards for you only when you first go there. And sometimes the card is 3 resources, or lets you remove a cube, or just worth some money, things like that. And then the final action lets you move your warship around the board. Now your warship is going to go mess with other players' explorer ships, and you can have a fight with other warships if you want to. To have a fight, you're simply going to compare your military power. When you take this action, you can pay 2 swords to increase your military strength. And you can also turn in 2 rings for 3 money. This is the main and only use really for the rings. But when you fight someone else, you're both going to hold swords in your hand secretly and add them to your military strength. Whoever has higher power wins. You chase the opponent away. You also have the opportunity sometimes to fight monsters with your military strength, which will give you rewards. Sometimes mega rewards, but you need 7 strength there. So that's a lot of swords and or strength. When you defeat somebody else, their ship just goes back to their starting island, and you will get money equal to how strong their ship is of the one that you defeated. And you also get money equal to your ship if you have this cleared, and this just gives you money when you take this action. So that's it. You're going to take these 4 actions back and forth. At the beginning of the game, there's going to be a select number of resources of the rings and the swords that are here. And this matters a lot, and you also have a food in another jar. There's going to be a certain number of resources per number of players. When you spend resources, those resources go to discard thing. When one of these runs out, that triggers the end of the game, and then whoever has the most gold is the winner. So there are 2 of these short games out there already. We already have Tiny Epic Kingdoms and 8-Minute Empire. Diluvium kind of fits in those. If you ever played either of those, it fits in that same category, and it's really a fast, fun little game. You basically, that wheel on the outside, not that big of a deal. You just can't do the same action twice in a row. So you just remember that. And I should mention, as a side note here, there is a big solo campaign in here that I've heard mixed reactions to. I've not played it, but there's a book to go through. It's fun to play against other people. It's quick. It's fun. Combat is not that hurtful. It does send your people off of islands, so you're not getting maybe so much resources. They'll go back home. They might even come back on your board, and you'll have to throw them off again. But it doesn't feel tremendously hurtful, and there's no reason to go around attacking someone else, except, hey, if they get more powerful, you get more money that way. And then if you upgrade your attack ship and you get money and they get money, and then the monsters are out there because they're going to just give you points for that. But just picking the actions, getting your people on the board, making the actions better, exploring, it's so simple. There's only 4 different actions. You can pick something, get a bunch of rings and turn them in for victory points. Get these cards, go for the cards, which will give you all sorts of bonuses. And the kind of game where you're attacking other people, going back and forth, it just has that right amount of length, especially with the resources running out, being a trigger to end the game. I think all of it comes together. Pretty nice package. 7.5 out of 10, Diluvium. I like games that are 4 in a row. And Yamma, which is just a simple game with a lazy Susan. So simple, the rules are in the back of the box. Get 4 in a row. So the game comes with a lazy Susan. It works really nicely here. And just a ton of these blue and white blocks. They're blue on 3 sides, white on the other. And on your turn, you're going to place one in the middle somewhere on the board. And what players are trying to do is when you place these, they're all the same. So each player will place one, is you're trying to get 4 in a row. Now, this is a little trickier because you have three-dimensional looking at this. So maybe the white player will put one here. The blue player puts one like this. So now you can see there's 2 blue in a row on this side. When I spin this one, white has 2 in a row on that side. So you got to keep track of what's going on. So maybe the white player, where did they have 3 and they have 2? There we go. Well, now we've won, right? Because we can't be stopped because you allowed us to get 3 in a row. Now, another thing that you can do is you can place blocks here, which is going to change things. So as long as you are keeping an eye on your opponent and not allowing them to score a quick 4 in a row, you can see that this thing is going to grow and maneuver as the game goes by. I've definitely played some very fast games of this, but some games will take longer. And again, you're spinning it around to try to find that 4 in a row. You get 4 in a row, you win the game. That's it.
Superb, Lazy Susan. I mean, that Lazy Susan is going to make or break this game, right? But it spins so well. The blocks are fine. You know, they're going to get a little beat up, blue and white. And this game is just get 4 in a row. I'm just amused by that. It's basically 4 in a row, and there's 3 sides. So you're spinning to look at those 3 sides of the pyramid. And it's going to end fairly quickly your first couple games, for sure. But as time goes by, it gets more and more interesting. So let's take Connect 4 and multiply it by 3. Just like Triple Yahtzee is 3 times better than Yahtzee, Yamma is 3 times better than Connect 4. Some people are not going to love the perspective aspect of this because sometimes you go, oh, you do have 3 next to each other. I never even noticed. But I almost feel like you should say check in this game. Like, I got 3 in a row here because I'm more interested in not fooling you, but outplaying you. But this is pretty simple. If you like 4 in a row type games, you're going to like Yamma. For me, a 7 out of 10. Slide is a little card game here from Gigamic, from Claude Clement. And basically you have a 4x4 grid here, and you are going to slide cards into it like this.
Each player has a random grid of 4x4 cards put in front of them. And these cards are going to have all sorts of numbers on them. So you are trying from numbers from 1 to 10. What players are going to do on each turn of the game, you pick any number in your grid, any face-down card, and you'll reveal it, putting them in the middle. And so there'll be a bunch of cards in the middle, and then starting with the first player, each person is going to choose one of these cards. So let's say I, for example, choose 9. I'm then going to take this and slide it into pushing it so that this empty spot is filled. I can slide it in from either side. Now, in that case, I would have probably have taken the number 1. Because high numbers aren't so great. So next time I throw 1 in the mix, maybe I take a number 2, and I'll slide it in from this direction. And then maybe the next time I get one, let's say I take one from here, throw it in, and oh, there's another number 2. Oh, that's not, I'll pivot it here and slide. Now that I have 2 2s next to each other, they're going to cancel out. I only have 9 points at this point in time. So I'm trying to get another 9 if possible. So maybe if I take this one off later on, and then, hey, I got a 9, I can push this one up. Now my 9s are together. But you're going to have less and less room as the game goes by because you're going to be sliding in, and you can only take a face-down card and slide in that position. When all the cards are face up, you're going to score points for each one. This would be a pretty terrible turnaround here. But let's pretend that I was actually trying. So you can see the 8s cancel out. And if you have 3 of a number next to each other, let's say there was a 2 here, all the 2s would cancel out. The 6s are out, the 5s are out, the 8s are out, the 9s are out. Well, that's not too bad. I got 4, 8, 15, 16, 26 points. And whoever has the fewest points is the winner.
Slide is a simple card game that kind of is almost Uno weight. It's a little more complex than Uno, but I like the aspect. You're flipping cards over, and you might have a 9, and you'll say, well, you know what? I'm going to take a 9. Even though there's 3 4s out there and a 9, I'll take the 9. Because there's 3 4s out there, you're going to have less 4s in the mix, and you're probably going to get 4 points. Each other player is going to get a 4. But with a 9, there's a good chance another 9 is going to come up, and no one else is going to take that 9, so now I just cancel my own 9. So you start taking holes out in the row your 9 is in, hoping another 9 comes out. But you're not ever 100% sure because there's 100 cards in the game, and let's say you're playing a 4-player game of this. It does go up to 6. Even a 6-player game is going to take out 96 cards, so there's still going to be 4 cards still in the game. But with 4, you're taking out considerably less than that, 64 cards. So you might not find the other 9 or one of the other many 9s in there, but there's probably one. And I just like that aspect. It's sliding. It's simple. This is the kind of game that you would take to a family gathering with a lot of people who don't love games. And I just found it to be simple and easy. 7+ on here. Fun to play. That's a 7 out of 10 for Slide. Dinky Dungeon. That's actually a pretty clever name. Dinky Dungeon is a game from Jelly Jelly Games and is clearly following the mystical rule that someone laid out many years ago that said you must have 18 cards in a micro game. Because this comes with a whole deck of 36 dungeon cards, but 18 of the character cards. In this game, you're trying to collect dungeon loot by using different characters. Here's how.
Players are trying to get treasure cards. There's a whole deck of treasure cards, and this shows you that there's 20 cards worth 1, 10 worth 2, 4 worth 3, and 2 worth 4. So you want some slime gummy, some skeleton bone, a shield, and things like that. How do you get these? You're trying to get a certain amount of points to win the game. So if you're playing a 3-player game, first person to get 18 points is the winner. Everyone's going to start with 2 cards in their hand. You pick one. The rest are shuffled into this adventure deck. 4 are put out in the middle. On your turn, you pick one of the 4 face-up cards, and then you play it. So this one might say, all players choose 3 of their rewards to keep, discarding the others. That's a terrible one. How about this one? Select, nope, that's a terrible one to start with too. If any player has more reward cards than you, draw 3 cards from the dungeon deck and gain them. Well, Bob over there has 1 treasure card. Great, so I'm just going to draw 3 cards and gain them. Woo, I got 6, but don't tell anyone. So then that's discarded. A new card comes out. The next person picks something. So like Scapegoat here that says draw 2 cards from the deck and gain them. When another player uses this card, discard this card instead of performing the effect. So you can this also is a cancel card for someone else. That's all the game is. There are 18 different cards in this deck, and they all just do various things. And you're just going to keep playing these cards, shuffling them, putting them back if you need to, until someone has the required amount of treasures.
Now, this game is a 7 out of 10 for me. It is a little lower, maybe, for other people. This is a game that not everyone's going to enjoy because this is called Chaos, the board game. That really is what it is. There's only 18 cards, and in fact, in the rules, they give you, description of each card. There's a decent amount of text on them, but it has that same mechanic as Love Letter, where I draw a card, and now I play one of the 2 cards and do that action. But I don't know. There's just something about it because it's short. It says 15 minutes on here, and that's almost too high sometimes, but it's pretty quick. You take a card, play a card, grab some treasure, and go around. It's kind of an entertaining filler. The kind of game that you play in between other stuff. You carry in your pocket. You can play this in a small space, too. So you could even play this on an airplane, play this at a dinner table while you're waiting for your food to come. And I'm just amused by it. The artwork is funky. The name is funky. It's just a fun little game. That's Dinky Dungeon. Rafter Five. This is from Oink Games, and these are the 5 people of various shapes and sizes. And they're collecting planks of wood because they're trying to make their raft bigger. They're stuck out in the middle of the ocean, trying to make your raft bigger without it falling off. That's just an excuse to have a dexterity game. Here.
In the middle of the table, you're going to put the box, and on top of the box, you'll put the lid, and on top of the lid, you'll put this card, and then on top of the card, you put the 5 rafters. And you can see they're all funny shapes and sizes. Now, each player is going to have a penalty card in front of them, as well as a bunch of these little treasure chests of your color. On your turn, you pick a rafter. So let's say I pick up this rafter. I'm going to take one of these pieces of C, turn it into a board, put that rafter on the board, and then put one of my chests on there. The next player will do the same thing. Let's say they pick up this guy, but this board must touch this rafter. So maybe they do this, put the guy there, and put that there. So what you're trying to do is you're trying not to make things fall. And maybe the next person will pick up this one and say, okay, well, let's try that. So anything that falls in the sea, if your own treasure chests fall into the sea, they come back in front of you. Any other treasure chests fall into the sea, they come in front of you on your penalty board. If you get 5 in there, that ends the game. When players pick up someone in the middle, if there's someone in the C or after in the C, they have to pick them up first. So maybe this would be the next guy. We'll put him there and place a treasure chest there. And you can make this very big depending on how sturdy you want to play or not. The first person to get 5 of these penalty chests is the loser. Everyone else wins. You can also play where you can't cover up these joints on them. That's why they're shuffled face down. Or you can't cover up these more colorful joints in the middle. So that's kind of easy. This would be harder. Things like that. That just is a way to make the game harder for players if you want.
Oink games fall into walk the fine line between stupidity and hilariousness. This game also walks that line, but it edges towards the idea of hilarious. First of all, everyone I've met is so charmed by the funky shapes of these 5 rafters. They're just, So you pick one up, you put a raft on, you put a treasure chest on. Pretty easy. But after a while, or at least if you're me, you start trying to press the center of gravity as you put these rafters and these chests out to make it so that you're building this big display coming out from the top there that someone else will knock over. This game can end pretty quickly because sometimes you just knock off a bunch of the chests, and that's the game. You can play with the harder levels where you can't put things on top of pegs, and I think a lot of people will actually gravitate towards those because the basic level, if no one is out there pushing things, is going to be pretty sedate. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm just amused by this whole thing. I see eyes in the front of these. I need to put little eyeballs on these guys. But anyway, just an amusing little dexterity game from Oink Publishing, Rafter 5. A lot of fun. 7 out of 10. There you go, folks. That's 6 games I played, and you should too. These are games that I think might have missed your wheelhouse. We often talk about big games. These are games that aren't as well known, but are still fun to check out. Which of these is your favorite? Let me know. Maybe you don't like them, then tell people in the comments. If my favorite of this bunch is Diluvium, but there's I think, a lot of fun. In here, the one I think I might have played the most is Slide, just because of how quick it is. But those are those 6 games I played, and you should too. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Vasel.